Hello everyone and welcome back to another Warcry 2.0 question mark. First off, this is not me returning fully yet because I'm doing a quick setup basically on the floor. My move is not complete yet, so there's still gonna be some time until I can get back to regular stuff. But I really wanted to share this with you, so here I am on the floor without a desk, giving you some very exciting new stuff. Because today we got some leaked content from a White Dwarf magazine, the next one that's gonna be around, and it's got including all the new units for Lumineth Lords. They are all in Warcry now. So let's have a look how that ends up. First off, we got 2 new unit choices and 6 new leader choices. As per usual, we'll be going over all the stats and then have a look at their abilities, and last but not least, see what kind of list I would bring for these guys. Also, once I release my update for the tier list, which should be relatively soon, I hope. So it's basically gonna be tier list 5.1 or something, where I change a couple of things, and that will include a new list for these guys, so it will be up to date for the Lumineth then. Anyways, let's get this underway. First off, we got the Venari Bladelord. He comes in at 95 points, which is not cheap for infantry, but on the other hand, he is a bit cheaper than the Stone Guards are. He does have a move of 5, which is great. Toughness 3, not that great. But the wound of a characteristic of 12 will keep him around for a little bit at least. He's probably not gonna get one hit all the time, which is nice. So certainly less tough than the Stone Guard, but a lot more agile. Then we have a range of 1, 3 attacks, strength 4 to 5 damage. That is very good damage output, almost as good as that of the Stone Guard with Mallet. Not quite, because higher crit damage isn't just as good as high strength here, but as you can see, we're still having 4.5 expected damage. That is very, very good for a unit at 95 points. That puts him into the highest damage point value there as well. Well, shouldn't talk about that yet. That's gonna make it too long. Anyway, so the Huracan Wind Charger. I think they are a very interesting unit in Age of Sigmar. They look a lot less promising in this though. 150 points is not cheap in Warcry. They are movement 12, which is great, and they do not have the mounted keyword, so they can climb, not fly though. They are toughness 3 and 18 wounds, which is fine. That's survivable enough, and high movement is great. They only have one attack profile. It's a range of 8 for 2 attacks at strength 4, 1/4 damage. That is the profile that you can see on a Free Guild Handgunner, who comes in at basically half the points for this guy. And that's where I'm struggling to see how he's going to perform well. Obviously, having one high movement piece in a warband can be quite good, so keep that in mind. It might be worth considering, but he really doesn't offer anything beyond his high movement, which I think is a bit of a problem if you're paying 150 points for you. So yeah, not that good. Then we got the Venari Lord Regent. He's 220 points, so it's certainly more expensive. But he is movement 10 as well, mounted, so he can't climb. Toughness of 4, 30 wounds, so very survivable, this guy. Range of 1, 4 attack, strength 4 to 5 damage. Yeah, good damage output for the points value there, especially considering that he's also movement 10. I think, and he also got the magic missile range attack, so the 7-inch range, 2 attacks, strength 3, 3/6 damage thing. that all wizards have. So I think he's not bad. He isn't that expensive, which is nice. In the past, mounted units tended to be overpriced. He doesn't seem overpriced. So it looks like Games Workshop might have listened and seen that mounted is a reason to make someone cheaper rather than more expensive. So yeah, that's not bad. Then we got the Venari Lawseeker. He's a weird character. 170 points, which is relatively cheap for a leader. Movement 5, toughness 3, 22 wounds, which also, again, I like that profile. I think 22 wounds is quite good. Toughness 3 obviously will make him a bit squishy, but it's not bad. And high movement is always good. He has a range of 1, 3 attack, strength 4, 2, 4 damage, which is not the greatest melee profile. And he doesn't have a great range profile either, because it's only the magic missile, which again for 175 as a 170 point character is, in my opinion, not good. So yeah, that's him. Then we got this Venari Calligrave. He is only 135 points, which is really cheap. Again, they are sticking to this theme that many leaders in this warband are super cheap. We know the High Sentinel has previously been the best leader choice for 110 points, and the Calligrave is very cheap as well at 135. Has a move of 5, toughness 3, 20 wounds, so yeah, not bad. He's obviously kind of squishy, but he's very cheap, so that's what you expect. And you don't have to get him into melee at all, because he has a ranged magic missile attack. And whereas normally I'm not a big fan, it actually gets kinda decent at 135 points cost. So since he's that cheap, I don't think it's a bad attack. Certainly your better choice, but obviously he needs a good ability to make him worth bringing, and we'll look at that in a second. Then we got the Huracan Wind Mage. He's 220 points, which is quite expensive. It's the same price the Lord Regent has here. He does have 12-inch movement and fly though, so this guy is flying. I think his model is on a cloud literally, so that's not surprising. Toughness 3, 22 wounds. We've seen that out of a couple of these guys so far already. Survivable enough, I guess. He also has the magic missile, and he has a piss poor range, melee attack for 2.5 damage. And again, that's where I where I struggle to see his place. To me, you need either high speed or ranged attacks. And this guy is a ranged focused character because he's relatively squishy and he doesn't have good melee damage at all. So he kind of wants to stay at range. But then if you're staying at range, what do you need 12-inch movement and flying for? That's what you really want to get in there, to sit on the, jump those objectives, jump at the enemy that's running away, catch those pesky little skinks, and so on. There's so much offensive value in high movement, much more than defensive value, in my opinion. And therefore, I'm not a huge fan of the Huracan Wind Mage, but again, we'll have a look at the abilities too. Then we got the Windspeaker Seneschal. He's the leader of the Huracan Wind Charges. 12-inch movement, of course, as well. Toughness 3, 26 wounds, so 8 wounds more than the normal wind charges. He's got basically the same range attack, but he does get 1 extra attack, so it's 3 dice you're throwing instead of 2, which is a big improvement, but certainly doesn't make him worth 195 points. So this again is probably a no for me. Then we got the Bladelord Seneschal. So that's the leader for the Bladelords. 130 points is not that expensive again, which is nice. Movement 5, toughness 3, 18 wounds. Something we've come to expect from unit leader type guys. a range of 1, 4 attack, strength 4, 2, 5 damage, so he's got 1 extra attack over the normal Bladelords, basically. Yeah, Bladelords have 3 attacks, he has 4, otherwise they are exactly the same. Yeah, he isn't a bad choice at all. He's got very good damage per point value. Doesn't get any extra abilities though. Let's have a look. Speaking of abilities, let's have a look at this sheet. You all know and probably don't hate it, hopefully. So there's our new unit options. The Bladelord, as you can see, as well as the Bladelord Seneschal, they both have great damage per point value. The Wind Charger on the opposite and the Wind Mage are horrible damage per point value. The Regent is quite good and all the others are rather meh. Yeah, Magic Missile. Right, in terms of survivability, all of them are pretty average, with the exception of the Venari Lord Regent. He's definitely the toughest out of the bunch. And yeah, as I said, 220 points is a good deal for him. So what new abilities did we get? We got one for the Wind Charges. It's a double, which adds half the value of the ability to the next movement. This ability is so interesting because it's very good on some units and warbands and very bad on some others. In this case it's very bad because these guys have 12-inch movement. Adding half the value of an ability, that's probably like, even if you get a 6, that's only 3 inches. So adding 3 inches to a 12-inch move, that doesn't make a huge difference at all, especially for a ranged unit. I don't know, feels horrible. Probably not something you're gonna spend your doubles on. Then we got a triple, and that's for all the Huracans, so that also goes for the Wind Mage. And that's an interesting one, which is you can make a disengage action and end it within 1 inch of an enemy. So it doesn't give you a free action, it just allows you to, if you do a disengage, you can end it within 1 inch of an enemy. It's situational, but you do need this kind of sometimes. The issue with it I have is that all of the people who can use it are ranged fighters. You don't really want to disengage from one opponent to close in with the next. That's something a melee dude wants to do who doesn't want to be tied up by something he doesn't want to kill or something very tanky, and would rather instead kill something squishy, high value or whatever. So being able to disengage into enemies isn't really gonna help a ranged fighter. So yeah, I don't know, I feel the design of the Huracan, it really doesn't feel like it's translated well to Warcry, because the AOS rules are good, but the Warcry ones seem kind of weird. Yeah, so that's the new ones for these guys. Then we have a quad for the Bladelords, which is that you make a bonus attack action, and during that attack action you add the value of the ability to the crit damage. So that is potentially a lot of damage. Your Bladelords roll 3 dice, so you're gonna have 3 possibilities to roll a crit. I think the chance of rolling at least 1 crit is 40% on 3 dice. Yeah, so I mean, it's, if you don't need a bonus move, you might as well use it instead of Rampage, because you got a decent chance of making some serious extra damage out of it. And if you don't, well, it's still been a bonus attack action, which is still good. So I like it. It's not bad. Yeah, obviously, if you're gonna need a move to move towards an enemy and then use this quad, you're better off using Rampage instead. But if you're already engaged, this is better than Rampage. Then we got lead abilities. So what's new there? Well, we got for the Law Seeker a new one. which is if he is outside of 6 inches of friendly models, he can make a bonus move action. I don't get this one. It seems absolutely horrible. Like, where's the situation where you're gonna be 6 inches away from anyone and need to make the extra move? I don't know. You have 3 battle groups in Warcry, so you normally set up with someone else. You don't set up on your own. It's weird. It's a really weird one. I honestly don't think it's good. And I don't think the Lawseeker is good. Then we got a triple for the Caligrave, and that one is awesome. So he can choose any point within 9 inches of him, and then everyone, so all friendly models around that point, within 6 inches of that point, when attacked, get -1 attack to the opponent. So I can basically declare a safety zone in which all of my guys are getting hit less, which is awesome. I think it's a really good ability for some fighters who already have it, where they make it as a bubble around them. But this is even better because you can target anywhere you want to. Well, within 9 inches, but that's a pretty big target zone. So you can even like buff a battle group that's quite far away from you, which in my opinion is awesome. Like, think about those missions where someone has to take down your shield or something, and your Caligrave comes in with your dagger. He's like 9 inches away. Well, he says, well, there you go. All my shield is protected now. Try to shoot those guys now. And then probably if those are Stone Guard as well, and they take -1 damage from attacks, you're gonna really struggle to do any damage to this warband, which is really cool. So I really like the Caligrave. Great, great model. And don't forget, he's 135 points. Ridiculous. Then we got the Cathala and the Stone Mage. We talked about those. We don't need to talk about them again. Let's have a look at the list. So, not what we wanted to do at all. We wanted to show you what kind of list we got. I would still go with the High Sentinel, because being able to point at someone anywhere on the battlefield and say, hey, everyone hits him better now, is cool. And it's only a double. So having the High Sentinel still makes sense to me. I would get, for my second leader option, the Venari Bladelord. I'm calling him second leader. It's obviously a hero, but effectively they do the same thing, and which you want to use as leader and which you'd rather use as hero really doesn't make much of a difference at all. So as my second hero option, I would take the Caligrave for all the reasons just mentioned. Good, well, decent-ish ranged attack, very cheap, and brings a great triple ability to the table. Bang on what you want in a leader. For unit choices, I went with 3 Sentinels because I didn't go with any of the super fast moving guys. I think it's still nice to have that pressure to make the opponent act and move towards you. Also, they just synergize great with the Sentinel, with the High Sentinel, because you're getting a lot of extra attacks if you're shooting at someone that the High Sentinel has previously pointed at. I would get 4 Wardens still, because they are pretty good point value. They are fast, they are kind of survivable with toughness 4, they have very good range with range 3, which makes them more survivable. So they are quite good, I think. So that's the Wardens. And then I would get 1 Stone Guard and 1 Bladelord. It gives you the option of using their abilities, which I think is cool. The Stone Guard has a very good ability in my opinion. The double that reduces incoming damage is quite cool. I can really make this 12 wounds deceivingly hard to chew through, especially if paired with the Caligrave's minus attack aura. And he also dishes out a ton of damage. 5 points of damage is really good. Do keep in mind that you don't have other heavy hitters because both of the leaders are kind of cheap and not that heavy hitting. And then I'd go with the Venari Bladelord because he's also very heavy hitting, especially for his cheaper points cost. And yeah, also a great choice, I think. Obviously, you could, if you felt like you didn't have enough punch, you could probably swap some points around to drop to 10 models and get yourself another Mallet Stoneguard or another Bladelord, whichever you prefer. And that would give you some extra crunch. But yeah, in general, I really like what this Warband is now. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and I hope to catch you on the next one.